If you tune in to my Wednesday LinkedIn Lives, we are also streaming on YouTube and Facebook, 3 places. Sometimes Jody's hopping on here a little frazzled because I can't figure out what stream key to put in. So you'd think after all these weeks, I would just have this nailed down, but you know what? I'm just going to chalk it up to end of the school year. So welcome everyone. It is our Wednesday LinkedIn Live, and I am thrilled to introduce you to a new friend of mine, Crista Grasso. And am I saying your name correctly?
You sure are.
Awesome. I should have asked you that before clicking live. And Crista is really, actually, let me pull up your bio. I'm going to read your bio because it is so good. And I did not have it memorized. And I also should have had this pulled up before I hit play or live.
I would have been really impressed if you had that memorized.
I know. Well, there's just so much goodness in here. I want to read this to you guys. And we are, and as I was explaining to Crista before, most of my audience, most of you that are here are new to business. You're getting your businesses off the ground. You're in your first 1 to 3 years of business. And Crista has some wisdom and thoughts for you today, specifically around time management, work-life balance. How do you even know what activities to do in your business? But just so you understand the expertise that she is coming from, I'm going to read this bio. So Crista is an international lean and agile business consultant for Fortune 50 multi-billion-dollar businesses and a strategic advisor to 6 to 8 figure small businesses, and creator of the Lean Out method, which I'm excited for you to explain what your proprietary process, your method is. And she is also the host of the Lean Out Your Business podcasts, where she shares top strategies to simplify and scale a business. We're all about simple and also scalable strategies here. So Crista is known as the business optimizer. Love this. And has the ability to quickly cut through the noise and focus on optimizing the core things that will make the biggest impact to scale a business simply and sustainably. And then she has like a million credentials underneath that. So Crista, welcome. And first, I would love for you to just kind of share a little bit with us beyond the bio, who you are, what you do, and how in the world did you become a woman entrepreneur doing this specific thing?
I feel like my journey is such a winding road, like so many of the listeners and watchers probably are as well. But I actually, in college, I was a fine art major. I always thought that I was going to do my own creative business. I did actually end up launching a jewelry business, but I was a fine art major. And as I was getting close to graduation, I was thinking, I really want to do my own thing. I'd like to work for myself. Maybe I should know a thing or two about business. So I ended up switching my major, and I ended up graduating with a business degree and a whole lot of college debt because, it's what we do. And so I was like, well, let me work for a few years. I'll pay off my college loans. I'll figure out what I want to do and get my business off the ground. And this will be great, right? Rewind. This was back in 2000. And I just so happened to get an opportunity to join this company as a consultant. I didn't even know what a consultant was, but I got this opportunity and said, of course, I'll say yes. I just got a job. It pays pretty good. Amazing. I'll take it. And what I never could have foreseen is that this particular opportunity put me into a business that did lean. And I ended up completely falling in love with lean. I fell in love with project management. I found I was really good at the operation side of things, but because I am naturally really creative and I think really different than most ops people, it ended up being this really unique blend of creativity and structure and freedom and flexibility and actually getting stuff done.
Yes.
And all of that ended up combining to what I do today in my business, which is the Lean Out method, which is helping people who tend to be visionaries. They tend to think really creatively. They tend to think in terms of possibilities, but they don't always know how to actually take action on that and make that vision a reality and do it in a way that's simple, that's streamlined, that's aligned. They're not doing all the musts, all the shoulds, overloading themselves with all the things. And instead, they're actually focused on the things that are going to get them there in the most simple and aligned way possible. So that's what I do today. It's what I absolutely love to do. It was a struggle for me in my own businesses, figuring all that out. So I love to be able to help other people through that.
I love that. I love that alignment. And that is like my life's message, is being able to sell in a way that's aligned with your personality. And there is so much noise out there. And there are so many gurus and experts and people telling you, well, you need to consider this, or you need to be on this social media platform, or you need to do this. And so what are some of the areas that you kind of focus in on first with your clients to help reduce or eliminate the noise altogether?
Yeah, I'll give one kind of overarching public service announcement, which I feel like is super important, right? Every single person who's out there, if we assume positive intent from the person, whether they have a method or a model or a framework or a system or a must do, right? If we assume positive intent, that particular thing works, but it works within a particular context. And it can be really, really intriguing sometimes when we look at these things to think, I should do this, it will work for me, or to put the pressure on ourselves and feel like I must do this. The only way I could possibly grow or scale my business is to do TikTok and to do LinkedIn Lives and to do all these things and to send a newsletter every day and to social sell. And I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And it can be easy to feel and put that pressure on yourself. But unless somebody is guiding you and recommending something to you with your specific business vision in mind, it is highly likely it is not in alignment for you. It is highly likely that the context in which it worked for them or it worked for other people may not be the same context you're bringing to the table. And so if you can run things through that filter, and instead of being enamored by or intrigued by, like, well, if this person could do this and they could have that incredible results, could this work for me? I should do it. Really take the time to think about, does this align with where I want to take my business? Does this feel like it fits into a strategy that aligns with where I want to take things, what I want to sell, who I want to sell to, and how I want to sell? To your point, right? So you're doing it with an integrity. And so my kind of public service announcement is, all things work. But all things work within the context in which it was created, and make sure that context matches yours before you distract yourself with going all in on something that's not a fit.
Yes, that is some amazing wisdom. And we could just end there. We won't. But my husband and I have, we've had a very interesting journey. We're both entrepreneurs, and we've made some really amazing investments. And we've made some very terrible investments, which I say terrible, quotation terrible, because you learn. Like, there's not really a bad investment. You learn from it and you are wiser at the end of it. But I did not have someone in my life who was challenging me to look at my personality, my desires, where I saw my business in 3 to 5 years. And my husband and I have very different clients that we serve. We have very different businesses, but we were being treated as if we were the same business, and that wasn't the case. So we made a double investment that we shouldn't have made because of that. And I'm going a very different direction. And I'm like, I kind of just want to know that someone has my best interests in mind and not just making a sale in mind. And I see that happening a lot. So what are some ways, what are some questions that women, especially women who are new entrepreneurs, what are some questions they need to be asking themselves as they are making decisions to maybe invest in a mentor or a coach, or are choosing to kind of go all in on a specific strategy? What are some general things they should be taking into consideration?
The very first thing that I think you should always be considering is it adaptable or is it rigid? And I think the
Yes.
reality is in the early days of business, right? Sometimes we need the set of instructions, we need the how-tos. If you've never done something before, you just need somebody to tell you how to do it, right? And
Yes.
that's fine. But
Yep.
when you think about beyond the how-to, beyond the basics, when you're thinking about actually integrating something into your business and it becoming a key part of your strategy, either how you develop your offers, how you sell your offers, how you deliver your offers, when you're thinking about that and it's something that you're truly integrating into your business, make sure that it's going to be able to be adaptable, again, based on your context, right? If you look at lean out method as a whole, the very first pillar is context, probably no surprise there
Yeah.
because I think everything is contextual. But again, those frameworks, whatever it is that you're looking at, that coach that maybe you're considering, they may be a great person, they may have a great system, but can it fit the way that you want to do business, your specific target market, those
Yes.
sorts of things? And so I think you do want to be clear on your vision. And sometimes in the early days, you're like, I don't know, I just have an idea. Like, I don't know what this is going to even look like. And that's okay. But
Yes.
you know what you know, and you know
Yeah.
what you don't want.
Yes.
You usually know what you don't want,
Yeah.
sometimes more than you know what you do want.
Yeah.
Over time, what you do want gets more and more clear and it continues to get bigger and bigger. But make sure that you are clear on what you can know, whether it's something that you don't want or values that feel out of alignment for you, or values that feel really important to you that
Yeah.
you want to use as your guiding principles.
Yes.
And think about those sorts of things and make the decisions on what you sell, how you sell it, who you sell it to within that guideline, and choose people, programs, tools, frameworks, whatever it is that are also in line with that.
Oh, I love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. We are so on the same wavelength with this. I mean, I have newly figured this stuff out in my own business. Like this has been a new in the past year. And I wish that I had had some of these frameworks to think through, especially at the very beginning. Okay. So pivoting just a little bit, a lot of women that I talk to on a regular basis about their businesses are one of their biggest points of felt pain is they're asking themselves the question, am I spending my time doing the right things in my business? And we know that sometimes you have to try things for a while before you have enough data to make like an informed, educated decision on whether it was effective or not, because you can't just put one post up on social media, nobody commented, and you throw out all of social media forever. But what would you say to women who are new in their business, they're trying some new strategies, but they wake up kind of second guessing how they're using their time?
Yeah, it's such a common feeling. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but that feeling never, ever, ever goes away. Ever.
Okay, well, we'll just have to embrace it.
But that reason I say that is because strategies that you put in place now and strategies that you learn now, they are going to help you propel your business forward so
Yes.
much faster in the future. And if you look at what I consider the 4 stages of business, in the beginning is emerge. And many of you are probably in the emerge stage where you're trying to find product market fit, right? And really, if you just break that down, you're trying to find the right thing to sell to the right person at the right price that you can get some traction with it, right? And so if you're in that place, well, if you can figure out some strategies to get really clear and be able to assess what is the right thing to invest my time in now, imagine how much quicker and how much more successful you'll be when you move into the grow stage and then the scale stage and then ultimately the influence stage. And
Yes.
so, yeah, it's things that people don't learn. And what happens in emerge is you learn a lot of bad habits that you
Yes.
then carry with you into the other stages. So you have this incredible opportunity to learn these incredible habits that will not only get you to product market fit a whole lot quicker, but it will set you up for success and scale in a whole different trajectory than you would without it. And so I think there's a couple things there. And I want to key in on something that you said that's so important is when you are in that stage, you're very much in a stage of experimentation. Right.
Mhm.
If I could break down emerge, it's ideation and experimentation. I've
Yeah.
got this awesome idea, or somebody else had this idea that they think I should try. And I'm going to try it and I'm going to see if it's going to work. Well, the biggest mistake that I see people make in this stage is they say yes to everything because they're not sure what's going to work. but they're not actually paying attention or putting any measure in place to know what is working. So instead of being clear on, okay, this didn't work, or this isn't giving me the results I want, let me tweak this a little bit. Let me try something different, or I'm going to let this go. You just keep adding and saying, yes, 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 yes. And eventually something works, which is great, but you're too scared to stop doing anything because you don't know exactly what it was or what combination of things worked. So
Yes.
I think you want to approach it a little bit more systematically, where you're looking and you're saying, okay, here's the things I'm going to do. Let's see the results that I'm getting.
Yeah.
And you have to assess what's the time period. To your point, if you put one post up on social media, there's some unicorn somewhere out there who's going to put a post up on social media and magically sell a whole bunch of stuff, right? But for the most of us, that's not going to be the case. It's going to take years or months or weeks of consistent trial and error and experimenting with different things and seeing what works and seeing what resonates for our audience and seeing what we can sustain, right? And so you do want to give things their due time, and everything requires different time, but you also want to be measuring so that you can lean things out. You can say no to things and drop things, so you're not overworking and carrying all that stuff with you week over week, month over month. That's how you end up overworking and having absolutely no life other than your business.
Yes. Right. And then you're burnt out and most likely going to quit and not continue on and not keep your vision. Are there systems or things that you can say across the board every woman entrepreneur needs?
Yeah. And so I'm going to say one, and people are going to be like, no, that's so not sexy. I don't want that. But you need a strategic planning system. And if you have spent time in corporate in the past and you're thinking, oh God, strategic planning, that thing where I'm locked in a room for 4 days and people just talk and then nobody follows the plan and it was a waste of my life. And no, I'm not doing that in my business. I don't mean that kind of strategic planning. So I have a framework that is really, part of the lean out method. It's called lean strategic planning. But to me, it's about how do you connect the things that you do on a day-to-day basis back to the vision and goals that you have in your business. So you're clear that you're working on the right things at the right time, and you have enough structure and enough focus that you know you're moving things forward, yet enough flexibility and adaptability to deal with the nature of entrepreneurship. We don't run the kinds of businesses where we can have a ton of predictability and we know exactly what we're going to be doing on Tuesday 3 months from now. It's just things change all the time. We have new ideas more frequently than anything, right? And so we need a framework that's flexible, but that doesn't mean that we don't have a plan, because without it, you're not moving things forward as quick as you'd like, and you're probably working on the wrong things or working too much. And so I think there's no day that's too early to have a planning framework in place. Keep it simple, keep it lean, but you do need to connect your day-to-day activities back to the overarching vision and goals that you have in your business.
I love that so much. That's a really good reminder for myself too, I don't know if you're familiar with the Enneagram, but I am an Enneagram 8 wing 7, and new ideas are my favorite thing in the entire world. But the problem with new ideas is you can't just keep trying new ideas forever and ever. You have to land the plane somewhere.
Right. And it is hard because, and I'm an 8-3. So totally get that.
Yes.
But as visionaries, we are idea generating machines. We are so good at the ideas, but somebody needs to implement that idea. And then somebody needs to maintain the implementation of that, right? I've had clients that they've sold a year-long program because it sounded so exciting and sexy in the moment. And then a month in, they're like, why did I do this? I don't want to deliver this thing. I hate this program. And so you do need to think through a little bit, okay, here's this amazing idea you have. Awesome. Now let's pretend you've put it out into the world. It's implemented. What do you need to actually do to continue to deliver on it with excellence? So the people who've invested in working with you are getting the results that you promise, so that you're still showing up in the best possible way and you enjoy what you're doing. And it's not like, oh God, is it Tuesday again? And I have this call, right? And so You do want to actually think those things through. And if you're
Yes.
not in a habit or a mindset of planning, you
Yes.
typically are not thinking those things through. You're just
Right.
like, I'm just going to put it out there and see if anybody's going to buy it. And it
Yeah.
sounds great, but then people
Right.
buy it and you have to deliver it for a year.
You're like, oh crap, now I got to actually fulfill.
Yep.
I see the opposite end. And I wonder if you see this in your clients. Like there's like the visionaries and then there's the perfectionist, which they want to have all their I's dotted and T's crossed before they release anything into the world. So it's like you could release something and not really realize, a new offer, a new program. Oh, that sounds fun. And then not necessarily have the plan to follow through and actually deliver. Or you could get yourself stuck in what I think I originally came up with this word. I don't know if someone else did, you can send me a cease and desist letter, but the perfectionating, which is like procrastinating until you have it perfect, which is just really an excuse never to release your genius into the world, which means you're not making sales. So
completely. Okay. I love that word. First of all, you should trademark that thing right now. I'm calling it. It's your trademark. But one of my team members calls it procrastinating, which I think is brilliant, right? Because you do need to have a plan, but you can way over plan and you can put all your time into the plan. And again, it's the same as being the ideator on the opposite spectrum where you're not actually taking action. You're not getting results. You're not implementing. You need that blend in the middle. You need that sweet spot. And that's what I call lean strategic planning, because you need to be able to be quick and adaptive, and you need to be able to get fast feedback, and you need to be able to experiment and get things out into the world. But you also need to be able to think through the downstream impact of things so that, again, it's all about quality at the end of the day. We want to deliver a quality experience, a quality product, a quality service, and have confidence that the people who are investing in us are getting what we promise them. Like most of us have integrity and want somebody to get that result. And without thinking it through, you risk that. But if you spend too much time overthinking it through, you never have any clients.
Yes,
so,
right.
Fine balance.
I love that so much. And then also time work balance, or like work-life balance, which that is such a trendy thing. I think so many people are talking about, and it feels so elusive. And part of me is like, is it even possible to have this idyllic work-life balance? But talk to me about that and how that kind of comes up for your clients as well. And specific to a woman entrepreneur who would be watching this, who really is feeling kind of drowning in family life. And then you feel like you're just failing not only at being a mom or a friend or a spouse, but also in your business. How do you approach this with your clients?
Yeah, absolutely. Because, right, all time is not created equal. If you, let's say you work 40 hours in your business and you're good, you've got firm boundaries, you only work 40 hours in your business. But while you're present with your family and you're momming or you're doing whatever you're doing, all you're doing is thinking about work. Are you really only working 40 hours? Not so much, right? And so you want to be present and you want to be maximizing the time that you have, or optimizing the time you have for the thing that you're doing when you're doing it. So when you're with your family, when you're with your friends, when you've got personal time for yourself to actually rest and relax, you're able to be present and enjoy those moments, just like you're able to be productive and really effective in your business when you're working. And so I think, to me, again, this comes down to planning, probably no shocker there, but beyond that, there's something that I call capacity-based planning. It's part of the lean strategic planning framework, but we forget as entrepreneurs sometimes that we actually control our calendar. We control our schedule. We control when we work and how much we work and who we work with. And it can feel like we don't, especially if we're at that place where we're trying to make a certain dollar amount and it feels so critical. Like, I need to pay bills. Like, I've just got to say yes to this thing or this person, or I've got to do this thing I don't want. And we could put this pressure on ourselves early on, but ultimately we control how much we work. And so what I always tell people is, don't do what most entrepreneurs do, which is they just create a list 18 miles long of all the things that they could or should or feel like they must do. And they wake up and they work until exhaustion, or they work
Yeah.
until they have to check out to go do the family stuff or the other stuff, but they're never actually turning the brain off. They're
Right.
still like mentally working on it, even if they're not in front of their computer. Go to
Yeah.
bed exhausted, wake up and hit repeat, right?
Yeah.
That's what most of us do in business in the early days. And that's not the way that I recommend you approach it ever, including from day one.
Yes.
Instead, get clear on how much you want to work. Like, how much do you actually want to work? Do you want a
Yeah.
40-hour work week? Do you want a 20-hour work week? Are you in a season where you're like, you know what, I want a 60-hour work week? Like,
Yeah.
no shame here if you want to work less, more, whatever it is, but
Yes.
do it with intention. Get
Yes.
clear how much you want to work and only commit to the things that you can do within that time, with space for the unexpected and the unknown. And
Yes.
so I think you want to reverse engineer your schedule. You don't want to just say, I've got all these things to do. How long is it going to take me? You want to say, I've got this amount of time. What can I get done within this time? Because what that constraint does is it forces you to make a decision on what's actually important.
Yes.
It forces you to make a trade-off and say, all these things are important, but I can only get 3 of the 10 done. Which 3 are most important?
Yes.
And if you don't have that boundary, it's easy to be like, well, I've got to do all 10. I mean, my business isn't going to survive unless I do all 10. I'm just going to have to work, right? But if you know you literally can only do 3, you're forced to choose. And so I think it's so important to do that and to start that habit and that behavior from day one in business. Don't wait until you're burnt out and working 80 hours a week to then go in and try to fix your schedule.
Yes, absolutely. And there is so much, I mean, this is a much deeper conversation, but I've seen so much shame that comes up for women when they're either not working enough or they're working too much. And it's like, you get to own what your schedule looks like. I mean, and it's going to look different in different seasons, depending if you have something you're launching, or if your children, if you're a mom and your children, their needs are just higher in a certain season than another one, or if unexpected life events happen. I built 4 or 3, they were all product-based businesses in the online space while my husband was in full-time ministry. And we would have curveballs thrown at us, like, we would have unexpected death in our community, or, something. I mean, I could literally and probably should write a book about my actual experience because it was crazy, but it really made me think, like, okay, yeah, some days I have to get super clear on what the non-negotiable things are that I have to get done on a daily basis. And it needs to be something I can get done before I go to bed at night. That isn't going to take me 3 hours to sit down and think through, because I don't know what's going to happen today or what phone call we're going to get, or, and that didn't happen most days, but it certainly did happen. And it would be easy to get into a cycle of shame, like, I just never get ahead. I can never do the things I need to do. And it's like, no, here's my baseline, core, most vital activities. And I know that even if I'm thrown a curveball, I can at least get these done before I go to bed at night. And I'm just going to choose to feel good about that. And they probably need to be income producing activities on some level. So
agreed fully. And over time, right, you always want to have, when you look at income producing activities, and then ultimately activities where you're being really selective and choosing the ones that drive the most profit, right? You want to have a balance of things that are focused on long-term sustainable success, balanced with short-term actually bringing cash into the business.
Yes.
But in the early days of business, you're just like, just give me some sales, right?
Yeah.
And you're kind of thinking more short-term because you're like, well, I'm going to try this and let's see if this works. And then I'm going to try this. As soon as you start to get some traction, as soon as you get something that you're like, you know what, I think this might be the right product for the right person at the right price. That's when you want to start putting strategies in place and looking at what are some sustainable things that I can be doing, some longer term things that I can be doing. So there's going to be some things I'm putting my time in that are an investment in the future. I'm not going to see an immediate ROI on it, but I'm setting myself up for long-term success. So I'm not on a revenue roller coaster, because in the beginning you are, but as soon as you find that thing, you can do the balance. So early days, you kind of want to see an ROI for a lot of what you're doing quicker, because you're doing things intentionally for quick ROI. But over time, you want to be laying that solid long-term sustainable foundation where you've got things that are an investment in the future that are going to keep paying off
Yes.
instead of it just being a quick win in the business.
Yes. That is so good and so wise. So wise. I am so glad you came on today. And okay, I want to give, so you have a summer, what are you calling this? Your lean out method summer.
How to make time off non-negotiable this summer while still hitting your goals and generating revenue.
Awesome. And this is the free workshop that you were hosting. Okay.
Yep. 1 hour workshop, interactive. It'll be fun.
Awesome. Okay. And when is this workshop taking place and are replays available?
Absolutely. So workshop is Tuesday, the 13th. So next week at 12 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. It is live. It is interactive, but there, of course, will be a replay that goes out after if you can't be there at that time.
Okay. So I'm going to post those links everywhere. And then also tell me about your program for Q3 that you have coming up.
Yeah, so I truly believe that Q3 is the most critical quarter of the entire year, because what happens in Q3 is people end up frequently slowing things down a bit because it's summer. And they're not thinking ahead and they're not thinking about the fall. And so they get this short little respite, but then they come back and it's crazy chaos through the rest of the year because they feel behind. They're trying to make up for lost revenue. They feel like they're constantly having to hustle the whole rest of the year to be able to still end the year hitting their revenue targets and their goals. So I think that Q3 is the most critical quarter to have a clear strategic plan that balances giving you your time off so you can rest, recharge, all those things, but you're actually still generating revenue and hitting your goals in your business and setting yourself up for success after summer. So that's what we're going to be doing together. It's a strategic planning circle for Q3. We're going to come together for 90 days. We're going to get actually all the planning done in June, so you can be off enjoying the summer in July. We've got checkpoints and all the things, but it's really just to set you up for a successful Q3, a relaxing summer, and a whole successful second half of the year.
That is amazing. Okay, so I'm going to put both of those links on all 3 platforms in the comments section. And so if you are hearing this and this is resonating with you, and obviously Crista is filled to the brim with so much wisdom specific to your time and energy and intention in your business, then go ahead and check out those links. Also, where can people find you? Where do you hang out online? Most of the people I'm connected to are connecting online.
Okay, so if you want me and my musings, you will find me most on Instagram. It's my name, Crista Grasso, on Instagram is where you'll find me most. And then if you're on my website, leanoutmethod.com, you can hear from me on the blog and such too. But Instagram is really where I hang out.
That is so great. And your podcast, the Lean Out, is it Lean Out Method podcast or Lean Out podcast?
It is Lean Out Your Business, and the URL is leanoutpodcast.com. So,
okay, perfect. That is so great. So great. I'm going to add that to my lineup. I've got like a lineup of podcasts that I tune into every week. I'm going to put that on my lineup. Love it. Well, thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate having you here. And I know that this has been super valuable for the women that are tuning into this. And I just super appreciate what you do.
Thank you so much for having me. This was so much fun. And thanks everyone for tuning in.
Yes. Thank you so much.